Mark Silver, the Outback Silverback, and you're listening to the DNT podcast.
Hey, this is Lewis Spears, and you're listening to the DNT podcast, not to be confused with the DMT podcast, which is just about drugs. This one's better.
This is Melbourne's OKs from the Digital, and you're listening to the DNT podcast.
This is Josh the Yak Shooter, and you can check out myself on the lovely DNT podcast. See you on the flip side.
Hey, this is the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. This is the DNT podcast, taking you to the extreme.
All right, welcome one, welcome all. This is episode 11 of the DNT podcast. I am Gavin.
And I am Jesse.
Last week, House of Hardcore, amazing show.
Yeah.
Got to chat with Dennis Comedi's son, Mark, at the Outback Silverback Silver, about his time here in Melbourne. But instead of that, let's talk about Australia's worst cyberbully. Yes, cyberbully superstar Lewis Spears is on the line with us. How are you, mate?
Hey, boys, thanks for having me. I'm very well. I'm just ramping up to bully some 12-year-olds online, ruin their lives. Or at least that's what the news says, but I got to live up to my expectations.
Oh, always wonderful to
That's
hear from
perfect.
you. All right, so let's quickly jump in this. We have a little story about you, I guess.
Yep.
We were at your first official, I guess, stand-up show, the Melbourne comedy stuff last year or year before?
Last year.
Yep.
Oh, fucking sick.
Yeah, we were at the
Yeah,
first
that was
one.
the first one.
Yeah, you probably remember us because our mate was the one yelling out a penis on a forehead.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was our
Yeah,
mate that we
'cause
brought
I
along
did
from
this
Singapore.
bit, for those of you who don't know, I did this bit where I would get a girl on stage and I would improvise a love song using suggestions from the audience. So I would have three things. I would get people to yell out where we met, where I took her on her first date, and then a physical deformity that she has. And on this particular night, someone yelled that she had a dick on her forehead, which isn't. I don't know if it's definitely a deformity.
But it's not one
I
you see all
suppose,
the
is
time.
it a disability? Could you get disability parking for that? I suppose because you'd be that embarrassed, you'd
Oh,
need
no,
a
I
shorter run from the shop to the car.
That's it.
It'd be a bit of an eyesore, wouldn't
I
it?
don't know. I mean, as we see in the media now, if you have a penis, it's your fault, and if you have a vagina, it's all okay. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, a bit of a bold statement. Yeah, well, we wanted to get on to talking about your recent comedy tour because we're actually really interested to hear how that went because I unfortunately got sick when I bought tickets, so I had to hand them over to a friend. But
Oh, bummer.
yeah, I was pretty pissed off about that. I don't think you'd want me rocking up to your show spewing my guts out.
Yeah, that was this tour was mental. Like it was because I just got. It's kind of interesting talking about stand-up now. According to Facebook, it's 2 years to the day today that I first stepped on stage. Oh, wow. And I, for some reason, thought it was 3. I don't know why I thought it was 3. I just thought that, like, there's no way I could have done stand-up for 2 years and toured twice. It doesn't make sense.
Jesus.
But apparently that's what's happened.
Facebook says
but
it's true.
that's it. That's it. That's how I live my life. But, yeah, this show was amazing because... of course, I'm a lot better at it now. I sound probably twice as better. And I was really proud of the first show. Like, I thought the first show was a genuinely good stand-up show. But I thought that this show was really what I wanted to achieve with stand-up. Because my first show was a bit more, I'm going to tell, here's a 2-minute joke about this, and then here's another 2-minute joke about that. And then I just kept going like that to the end of the show. But whereas with this show, because I was a lot better at stand-up, I was like, here's 15 minutes on hairdressers, and then I'm just going to do much longer, more pure kind of stand-up bits. And I also had the story of how my show was almost cancelled last year, which was great. But yeah, this tour was mental in terms of I thought the show was genuinely a lot better, and the turnout was crazy. For example, I had more people come to Melbourne this year than I did nationally last year.
Oh, wow.
That's unbelievable. Was it the same venue as last time?
Yeah, it was the same venue, but it was in the biggest room they have. So,
Fantastic.
So your head wasn't
I did-
touching the roof then?
No, it actually wasn't. Yeah, my first show, my head touched the roof. This show, I had a couple of inches. It was great.
Oh, it's good.
I could stand up straight and jump like a little bit.
That's fantastic. Well, yeah. So with the whole comedy thing, it's kind of exploded for you. I've noticed, considering from your early beginnings with Face Beef and as Ned's Adlai as well, because I remember that back in high school, seeing all that sort of stuff and having a friend from my high school as well get you to sign a Bible, and I ended up finding out about you through that way.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I think about that every now and then when I'm just like, I shouldn't have signed that. I can't sign a Bible. I didn't have anything to do with it.
I was just sitting in class one day, and he kept going on about Nebs Adelaide and Face Beef. I'm like, who are you talking about? Then he told me, like, oh, we went to the was it Janoskins? Yeah, the Janoskins thing, and I got him to sign my Bible. I'm like, who is this fucking
that's the
guy?
weirdest thing I've signed, still to the day. I think all the things that I've signed, it's definitely the Bible.
Oh, that is unbelievable. But yeah, well, obviously, I want to talk about the early beginnings with you. Yes, generic questions, but I really want to know, because I still don't know to this day, because I only discovered you about
A couple years
ago, yeah. Just going through all those reviews and stuff like that, well, videos and stuff you did, and seeing all the shit that went on with Face Beef. How did that all come about with Face Beef?
It's quite a confusing origin, because it was always just to fuck around and for fun. I know that a lot of people think that Tristan and I were the first people on it, but that's not actually true. There was a guy before both of us. It was Tristan. The guy who created it originally, and Face Beef was just literally screenshots of people's having arguments. So it wasn't. No one ever caused them. It was just like a documentary of Facebook arguments. So someone would have a Facebook argument, people would send it in, and then they'd post it. And then Tristan got involved, and because he was like, look, I can make this a lot more efficient by starting the arguments and making them funnier. And then that's when it started to get a little cult thing. And then I became aware of it, and I was also just doing that on my own for no reason. Like, I was just internet trolling, like classic fucking 2010, 2011 internet trolling.
Well, that was the best days.
Yeah, when the internet was kind of when social media first kind of came out and Facebook was here, and there was no real moderators. It was like if a person was a dick, it was like, well, he's a dick. Don't worry about it. There wasn't a massive thing. No one got banned and all that shit. But then, so I was just being an asshole in a funny way, just for my own entertainment. And then the guys at Face Beef noticed that, and then got me involved, and we just kept doing what we were doing and harassing people. And, well, not harassing. We never harassed people, but just doing what we thought was funny, just trolling. And then it just kind of blew up from there, turned into this massive cult thing, especially in Melbourne. Like there's still so many people who remember Face Beef in a really positive light or a hugely negative light, depending on which side of the beef they're on.
Yeah, especially the media would probably be the negative side, but the media can go fuck themselves.
Cyberbullying.
Yeah, Susan McLean and her laptop stand.
Oh yeah, she. I'm going to be doing a video with her. That's what I'm coming back with, Lou Review, because my show this year was called "They Tried to Cancel Me Last Time," and the reason is her. She almost got my first show cancelled.
Oh, what a bitch!
Really?
Yeah, I can talk about it now, because first I couldn't talk about it because my show was almost cancelled. It was actually quite close to literally being stopped.
Yeah, if you went ahead and said something,
so I
would have been
couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And then I decided that I was going to talk about it in my second show. That was the best place to talk about it. So I didn't want to blow it for people who hadn't seen the show. But now the show's done, so I can actually talk about it. What happened was, when I announced my show, Cyberbully Superstar. For those of you who don't know, Susan McLean is a cyberbullying expert. She's a woman who makes a lot of money out of scaring the shit out of parents about the internet. And she was on A Current Affair and Today Tonight when we tricked them into running a fake story. So she looked very silly, and she had a bit of a vendetta against us. And she was always coming on those shows and talking about how bad we were and all that stuff. Yes. My favorite thing, she said was, without the internet, he would be no one, which is kind of like saying, without a pool, Michael Phelps would be a shit swimmer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Makes sense.
Oh.
So she ended up, I announced my show Cyberbully Superstar because that's what she called me, a cyberbully. So I'm like, oh, I just embraced it to take the piss out of her. And then she complained to the venue. And the venue I was at was just a hotel. They weren't like a performance space. Their conference rooms were converted into stages. So they don't really lose any face for cancelling shows. They just lose a little bit of money. So they were like, fuck, you're hosting a cyberbully. What's going on? Because this woman, she's quite reputable. She's been in the news and she's got a reputation behind her for being someone who tells the truth. And basically she contacted them and said that I've been arrested for online harassment and I make fun of cyberbullying and I cyberbully people and just a whole bunch of lies. And the venue understandably freaked out. It took them a while to realize that she was lying. And it really stressed me out. It was like just before the show and it was on the cusp of being cancelled. But we turned it around and then we ended up doing it. And then it went really, really well. So I figured the best place to talk about it would be at my second show. And I called the show. They tried to cancel me last time with a big reference to her. And filmed all the shows. I did a bit of on-stage stuff to do with her, which will all be revealed when Lou Review comes back in the next couple of weeks.
Wonderful.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
I've been brewing on this for fucking almost 2 years.
Well, I can imagine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do remember hearing about all the shit that she used to say about you and Face Beef, and it used to crack me up a lot because I think that was around the time when I was in probably around year 12 or something, year 11, year 12 when that was going on. But interesting story. I'm glad you told me because I was actually quite shattered that I didn't get to hear all these stories from the show. Yeah. And by the way, of course, my friends ended up enjoying the show. Definitely.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, which is
I'm
positive.
always happy that people come to the shows and enjoy it because it's like it's an interesting thing when you do online comedy. Like people come to the show with an expectation because you've already proven that you're funny. So they come to the show with an expectation of, if he's not at least this funny, I'm going to be disappointed. It's kind of different from when you go to a stand-up comedian's show where you're like, oh, if he's a little bit funny, I'll be happy. With the YouTubers and the TV guys, it's like, he has to be at least this funny or I want my money back. But it's always really cool to hear that people who like, because my online and my stage stuff I think is quite different. Like my online stuff is quite internet humor, but my stand-up is stand-up comedy. Like that's what I love doing is proper stand-up. I don't like talking, just raving on about. So remember when I did this YouTube video and then I play a video on a projector? I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's also two very different platforms because, I mean, like with the internet stuff, you can record it and then chop it up and edit it in a certain way.
Yeah.
Up on stage, it's one go, one take, that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I can spend 3 hours on a Lou Review and that's a 10-minute video. Whereas, if I say something wrong, I can just be like, oh, I'll just film that again. But if I fuck up on stage, it's just, oh, well, they all saw it.
That's part of the show they're going to remember.
Absolutely. I've always been curious. Where did you get how did you decide on coming up with the name Nebs Adelaide for Face Beef? I'm really curious. How did that come about?
Well, I when I first got involved with it, I was still in high school. I was in year 12. And I was a little bit iffy about having my name. No, this is why. Okay, so I was in high school and I always wanted to get on a current affair. I always wanted to get a fake story on a current affair because my comedic idols and the people who I grew up on are the Chasers. And especially the Chasers War and everything. And I know they tried many, many times to get a fake story on a current affair and they never could do it. Yeah. And I was always like, I would love to do the one thing that, my people just couldn't do. The guys that I look up to and the guys I aspire to be like couldn't do. I'd love to do that. So I figured the best way to do it would be to start off on Face Beef as an anonymous, because not only was I under Nebs Adelaide, but I was also anonymous. I covered my face with a hoodie. The original plan was I was going to get Nebs Adelaide to cyberbully Lewis Spears. So I would do like an interview with a current affair as Lewis in person, and then maybe something over Skype as Nebs. And
That is
just
fantastic.
that was the original idea, but it just didn't work out. And I ended up staying anonymous for like 6 months, and I was just getting sick of it. I wanted to do this idea, but a current affair weren't biting. We sent them emails, and they just weren't interested. And then I ended up revealing myself ended up revealing myself, and then as soon as I revealed myself, we did like consecutively a whole bunch of big things. Tristan did some huge things, I did some big things, and then the media was suddenly interested, and that's when we had the opportunity to do the current affair thing. But that's why I was anonymous, was just to get that, and which I can never do now. I would never be able to do that.
I do remember seeing that story that you guys ended up working with Tristan with the Nazi suit uniform and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that was definitely a hit with my mates. I'll tell you that. Yeah, we every week we'd be talking about it. We'd just be like, oh, this is what's happened with Face Beef this week. Oh, the current affair story.
It was a big cultural thing, because I guess just nobody was doing that. Nobody was kind of making, let's just cause shit for no reason, we don't care comedy. And it was like that time was the only time that I think that kind of comedy online or on Facebook anyway could be done, because Facebook now, you do anything mildly offensive and it just gets deleted. They're so on top of their deleting and banning shit. You can even, like, some feminists who are too feminist get banned. Some people who are too men's rights get banned. It's like Facebook is kind of like, if you believe something too much, we're going to try and curtail that.
Yeah.
But back when we were doing it, the moderation was just not good at all. So you could kind of post whatever you want.
Yeah, you could get away with a lot more back then as well. For example, I'm pretty sure you can't even create a Facebook page called Face Beef anymore, or with the name Face Beef in it, because we got deleted and we recreated it that many times that they were like, fuck these guys, we're going to ban the use of the term. I did look at that up at one stage, doing some research for this podcast, obviously doing my homework, and I did look for a Facebook Beef page, and it was pretty hard to come across anything related to it. That doesn't surprise me, because Facebook are a bunch of pricks, and that's just from personal experience. Especially with like pages and stuff like that. We've had a few issues, especially our YouTube page, which actually got blocked as soon as we started it.
No videos on it, and already.
Yeah, wow.
I know. Actually, speaking about pricks and banning and all that, let's get into everyone's favorite big nose fuck, SoFlo Antonio.
Yep.
Mate, yeah.
I actually don't know what's happening, because I ended up blocking the page and unfriending all my friends that liked his page. So I don't know what's happening. So I guess you're probably a bit more up to date with the SoFlo. What's going on there?
Well, ever since that video where I just said sue me cunt, like ever since then, he's just gone off the rails. Because the guy, he's just, those guys that are just too confident but with not much of a reason. Like they're really, really confident in themselves and like, yeah, I'm the best. But you try and look at it and you're like, I just don't think that I don't think you understand that you're not that good. I think he was just one of those guys that was just so confident and had this can't lose attitude, and that he went around, like we figured out by speaking to Marcus Dibble and Ethan from H3 Productions, we figured out that he'd been sending the same threats of suing people, copying and pasting it to a whole bunch of people. Anybody who made a video got the same message from him, and he just never had the idea in his mind, fuck, this might backfire on me. One day someone will say something. He just, because getting legal threats, it's scary. If you haven't dealt with it before, I remember the first time I got mine where it's like, I'm going to sue you for defamation. I was like, fuck, what's that?
Yeah.
It is a scary thing. And to think that there's probably are so many people that he sent them to before me and before H3H3 or Marcus that just saw that and were like, fuck, I better take it down, and they actually do it.
Yeah.
And I heard from a lot of people who took their shit down because he just, scared them. But since, my video and a whole bunch of other videos, I'm not going to take credit for it, but it wasn't really the videos. It was mainly just the community becoming aware of what he was doing from the videos, and then the community taking action against it and speaking out of it, rather than any one person doing it. He's kind of just laid low. He's done the smart thing. He's taken SoFlo Antonio, like his own face and personality, out of all of his brand, and now he's just one of those businesses. Now he just to the average person, he just looks like another lad Bible.
Pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I guess it was good. A good thing. I know you say you don't want to take the credit for it, but I mean it was a good thing that you guys went out there and actually did the research on it and discovered he's full of shit. Sort of thing.
And he's making money off of stealing other people's content as well, which is what I pretty much would call him Mr. Plagiarism at this point, considering the shit, considering the amount of shit that he steals.
It's kind of crap because, even people like me who make a living out of comedy, I can't afford to fucking sue anybody if they take my stuff. All I can do is say, hey, can you credit me for that? And then if they don't, I can send a copyright claim. But it really, there's not too much you can do at this point. Like, the laws just haven't caught up with internet entertainment.
No.
Absolutely, yeah. That's with everything as well.
Exactly.
I mean, we're musicians. We're pretty aware with what goes on with the whole copyright issues and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that it's like that, but it's good to see that, high-profile people like yourself, Marcus, and Ethan from H3H3 are actually calling people out, because Isn't Ethan going through some issues legally at the moment?
Yes, Ethan Hill are going through some stuff at the moment.
I haven't spoken to them about it, but from the videos and what they've been putting on Twitter, is they're actually getting sued by a guy for defamation. I've seen the video that they did on him. I don't think it's defamation, because defamation, a lot of people are like, if you call me a cunt, that can be defamation if it gets 1 million views. But the thing with defamation, like, this is a really good way to explain it that I love telling people. There was a defamation. Defamation has to be, one, untrue, so not the truth, and it has to hurt your reputation, and you have to prove how it's hurt your reputation. So say you lose money, like people stop buying your stuff because someone called you a rapist, but you're not actually a rapist. That's what defamation is. So it has to be untrue. So if somebody says something really horrible, but it's true, it's not defamation, even if it hurts your reputation. So the court case I like pointing out is there was this guy who was married to his wife, and she was a real high profile. She wasn't famous, but she was a real high roller, and she was on a business meeting with a couple of guys that she was doing a really big deal with, but she was also cheating on her husband with these two guys. And he found out about it, and he came to the restaurant where they were having the business meeting, and he called her a whore in front of all of the customers, and she lost the business deal. So she tried to sue him for defamation because she lost money, and all of these people in the restaurant thought she was a whore. But because the husband could prove that she was cheating on him, the judge was like, well, you are a whore. That's the dictionary definition of whore. And she lost the case.
It's perfect. That's a perfect sum
It
up.
really is.
I love it. That's
Because I don't think many
That's
people look
probably
into
the
it.
first woman to ever be proven by a court of law to be a whore.
Oh my god! There's a little rhyme for the day.
Oh, that is perfect. Oh, Jesus.
It is quite a shame what's happening with Ethan and that. But I mean, obviously the YouTube communities all gotten together and helping out financially and whatnot.
Yeah, I did see
Oh,
that.
yeah, well, that's great. And, being sued doesn't mean that they'll win,
No.
No, of course not. Well, you never know. It's always a 50-50 with that sort of stuff. You never know
Yeah,
what sort
I'll
of
be
shit.
very interested to see how it comes out because, if they did lose, that would set a precedent for people like me and other people that make videos similar to them that, fuck, this, could be seen as defamation.
Yeah, and
But I don't think they'll lose. I think it's fairly obvious that it's satire.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, I don't know what to say about that. It's like
Best of luck to him during
Yeah.
this case.
Yeah.
absolutely, because you need people standing up to people, to all those sort of people like that. You need people to stand up.
That's what I think.
For their rights.
Say anything, nothing's going to change.
Exactly, yeah. Because YouTube, it seems like anyone can just send a copyright claim and your shit's down pretty much.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's what it seems like.
Have you gotten any strikes in your channel?
Yeah, I have. They've all been resolved, but I have gotten quite a few strikes from just people sending false claims, and because a lot of comedy is criticism. Like that's 50% of comedy. It's very hard to make a joke that doesn't offend anybody unless you're telling chicken crossing the road jokes, and then the chickens might not like it. You can't really think of a joke that isn't critical of something in some way. So, and unfortunately, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm the joke. He's being critical of me. I can't handle it." But I generally, I don't think I've ever chosen a video to make fun of that didn't have a lot of attention and was made to get a lot of attention.
Absolutely, and most of your videos are usually quite entertaining as it is. I always watch that sort of stuff, like the what's the video with those YouTube pranks, as a cock TV or whatever it is. I show that to my mates, and they crack up laughing every time they watch it. Just actually, no. I was going to bring this up with you. Me and Gavin are actually gamers, and I found a mod on Fallout the other day, which I literally was pissing myself laughing for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a mod where you get. Are you aware of Fallout that much, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you get a fat man, and instead of it.
I've seen this.
Yeah, where it shoots out the Ethan Bradberries.
Are you kidding me?
I tried it and I couldn't stop laughing. It was hilarious.
So, I don't play Fallout, so it's a gun.
It shoots mini nukes.
Mini nukes, but every time it goes, Ethan Bradbury?
Yeah, every time. And I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh my God.
It was perfect. I found oh man. Anything to do with that just cracks me up. But moving on.
They're amazing pranks.
Moving on. Speaking of Lou Review, how did that come about? I'm really curious as to what gave you the idea to do Lou Review.
Well, I'm glad that I'm on an Australian podcast, because I remember I did an interview with some American guys and they just didn't get this explanation. So, Lou Review was never supposed to be a series. Lou Review, the first, I had the idea that I just wanted to parody Zoot Review. Do you remember that ad?
I do remember that.
You might refresh my memory.
The MILF in the supermarket talking about dishwashing powder.
Oh, those ones.
Like, welcome to Zoo Review. Here's some fucking powder. It'll be really good. Buy it.
Or like some sort of powder, or like or cleaning product or some shit.
Yeah,
it's
like an infomercial for Australians. So I was like, Zoo Review. Oh, that rhymes with Lou Review. I should explain a product but talk about it badly. And then I did that, the Susan McLean's book on cyber safety. And then it hit the front page of Reddit. And I was like, fuck, this is a really fun video to make. And people obviously really, really liked it. So then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll do another one. And then I did Adrian Van Ooyen's ebook. And then that hit the front page of Reddit and got like 400,000 views. I'm like, shit, well, I definitely got to do this all the time now. And because I was struggling to find a thing on YouTube that I did, because I love doing skits, but skits are really hard to do regularly. So I was trying to find something that I could do by myself, without relying on other people on a regular basis. And I found out that Lou Review was something that I really enjoyed making, and obviously people responded to it really well. So just started off as a parody of Zoot Review, and then I just kept going, and then I figured out how to do it. How to work more efficiently and write more efficiently and get it out weekly instead of once a month like I started off with, and here we are.
That's it.
There you go.
Well, I mean, I guess you're saying not having to rely on people. I mean, it seems like Pinger Pete lives in your basement or something. So
that cunt doesn't live in my house. He just hangs around.
He just hangs around. He's just that junkie that hangs around the street.
Yeah, I don't know how he gets in, because I lock the doors, but he just turns up when I'm filming, and then somehow he edits himself into the videos. It's bullshit.
Oh man, and that's an interesting story. How did Pinger Pete come about? Obviously, it's a piss take on all those clubbers or whatnot, Cloud9, all that bullshit.
Yeah. Well, Here's the thing. I've never done ecstasy. I've never done drugs at all, ever. Not even weed. I've never smoked. I've never drank or anything like that.
Straight edge.
Yeah, but I'm not a fucking douche about it, you know? Do what you want to do. Don't do heroin. Like, if you're doing heroin, I'm going to be a douche. Like, stop that.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
you know, I don't care. I'm not one of those people who are like, hey, man, can I have a cigarette? And I get one and I throw it away. I'm not going to be one of those cunts.
Oh, my
It's
gosh.
just, you know, it's just a thing that's not for me. I saw people doing it. I'm like, I just don't want to do it. But
Yeah, fair
Finger
enough.
Pete is kind of like a combination of all of the things that I've observed when I've gone to nightclubs dead sober and stayed there for hours. Because a lot of people are like, how can you make fun of this when you've never tried it? How do you know what to do and what to say? It seems like, you know, like people are almost disappointed when they find out that I don't do pingers every night. They're like, how do you know about this shit? I'm like, here's my theory. All of the knowledge that people piece together about drugs over, you know, a couple of months of doing them, that's from, they remember little pieces of their night because they don't really remember it because they're drunk or they've done drugs. But me, I'm dead sober. I remember everything that happens. I see it all. So all the knowledge that takes them a week to get, I get it in one night. I'm like, that's fucked. I'm going to make Pinger Pete.
And it's worked out perfectly.
It
that's
has
for
really
sure.
well.
Are you going to do
Yeah.
another Pinger Pete video by any chance in the future?
I want to do a night in the life of Pinger Pete, but I want to do it properly. I want to do it at a nightclub that lets us film there. But unfortunately, for some reason, I'm having a bit of trouble getting a nightclub to let me bring a dude called Pinger Pete and film it there because they don't want to encourage all that ecstasy stuff.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because people die at their venues and they're not about that. But yeah, I'm trying to sort it out. Maybe I could just rent out a bar that looks like a place. But I definitely do want to do a night in the life because one of my favorite videos was a day in the life of Pinger Pete. I'm very proud of that video.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's still a favorite of mine.
Classic Darren Dart. Oh, mate.
I've seen that before as well. So many times with people I work with as well. They do the dare and dart, which is disgusting. But
Yeah, you know, I always noticed a few people doing it, but I didn't know that it was as big as it was. Like as soon as that video came out, everyone just sent me. It still happens. Like their dare and dart. Like I do this. I didn't know it was as big as it was. I think it's because it's probably a pretty shameful thing. Like nobody really does it in front of people. Like having a dare and a dart for breakfast.
it's unbelievable.
I guess moving on from all that, how'd you find transitioning from, I guess, whatever you're doing before into deciding to ultimately do comedy, and then go from the internet to an actual stage?
Well, I actually kind of fell into internet stuff. I knew from about 12 years old that I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I always knew that was what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian live on stage. I never really considered internet and YouTube, probably because it wasn't that much of a big thing when I was growing up. But yeah, I kind of fell into face beef and trolling and doing that stuff and YouTube and shit, and then ended up really enjoying that. But always in the back of my mind, I always knew that I was going to do stand-up. And it wasn't until 2 years ago in 2014 when I first actually got on stage and did a set. I wrote 5 minutes of material, and then I got on stage and I just did it. Like I rehearsed it for 3 days and I was freaking out and I was like, I knew that I was going to do shit. I was just like, I know that I'm going to bomb and that's going to be okay because then I'm going to get better. And then I got up on stage and I did it and I didn't bomb. Like I actually did okay. Like I got a lot of laughs. Only one of my jokes fell flat. And then I was like, fuck, this is what I want to do. I can do this. And then I was at this weird point where I had this fan base. It was a lot smaller than what it is now, but I had this group of fans that knew that I was funny and had this expectation of me to be at least this funny, but my stage stuff was not as good as my videos. So I didn't tell anybody that I was doing it. I kept it a secret. I told very close friends, but I didn't tell any of my fans that I was doing stand-up because I knew that as soon as I told them, they would want to see it, and it just wasn't, it wasn't ready. I was still very, very new. And it took me about 8 months of just secretly performing every single week and getting good and building my skill set before I was like, yeah, this is now as good, if not better, than my online stuff. And that's when I told everybody that I was doing it, and that's where I announced my tour, and I did that, and that went really well. And then I got enough money to kind of leave to move my job from full-time down to part-time and do videos. And then with the next tour, I could just leave completely, and now I'm here, and it's my job.
That's fantastic. That's what you always want success, and that's you're living it, which is fantastic.
Which, like, it was good. Like, I don't think people quite understand how hard stand-up comedy can actually be. Because let's face it, any monkey can tell a joke, but it takes. It's difficult to tell a joke with the right punchline and right performance.
Oh
and
yeah,
whatnot.
the joke is almost the least important part.
Exactly.
It's the delivery.
That's it. The delivery.
Because and you know that because whenever you go to a show and you really liked it, and then you try and tell your friend your favorite joke, and they just don't, like, you were crying, but then you tell it, and they're just not laughing. And you're like, that's so fun. How are they not laughing? It's the funniest joke I've ever heard. It's because you're not delivering it like the comedian does it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have the same thing every time I watch Amy Schumer, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
I personally don't find it funny at all, but everyone's got different tastes.
Everyone's got different tastes in comedians.
Well, comedy it's like learning comedy. It's like, imagine if you played piano, right? And the only time you could ever practice is on stage in front of people expecting a good piano player. That's what learning stand-up comedy is, because you can write a joke and you can be like, I think this is funny, but you never know until you do it in front of people.
Yeah, because I did want to get into a bit of stand-up comedy. I actually entered the Royal Comedy Festival in 2012.
Oh, no shit. How'd you go?
I didn't get through because, unfortunately, I'm Italian, so a lot of my jokes are all kind of WOG-related, which people can laugh with, but I kept on getting this criticism that, oh, your jokes sound like another comedian's, or Joe Avardi. Australian comedian. They were just like, oh, your jokes sound way too similar to him. We think you're stealing his jokes, sort of thing.
When you're not, because your nonnas, you get all this material from your nonna and your
I get them all from my grandparents anyway, but it's all too similar.
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you're that happens a lot with like people who just draw from the same background. You know, like I've told a joke about being tall, and then someone's like, "You stole that from Stephen Merchant," and I'm like, "Who's Stephen Merchant?" And then I figured out that that's the guy who wrote The Office with Ricky Gervais. And when I watched his special, I'm like, fuck, that's the same joke. And it's not that I stole it. It's just we had the same experience because he's like 6'7" and I'm 6'8".
Ends up being a coincidence at the end of the day. Is there any particular comedians that you would say you'd look up to, other than the Chasers, like you said earlier? Is there any particular comedians that you'd look at and you'd say, that's exactly my influence going into comedy?
Well, it actually wasn't till recently when I found stand-up comedians that are doing the stuff that I want to do. Like when I first found out that I love stand-up was when I went to Leno and Woodley's show, and they're some of my favorite comedians. They're brilliant. I saw their farewell show. They're both of them are my kind of, in my top 5, but I don't want to do comedy like them. I don't think I can. It's a little bit too silly and lighthearted for me. I just don't. Yeah. I just don't work like that. But I love watching it. I just can't write like that. My head doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But the comedians that I suppose that are most what I would like to kind of emulate on stage is. I like Jim Jeffries, but my ultimate is Bill Burr. He's my favorite comedian.
100%.
Definitely.
Everything that he does, from his podcast to his live stuff to even his TV show at the moment, F is for Family, is just some of the best, like, comedy. Whatever he's doing, it's some of the best shit that I've ever seen, and that's what I really want to get to be like when I'm that age.
Oh, it's amazing. Actually, I came across F for Family by accident on Netflix after watching BoJack Horseman. It was suggested, watched the entire series in the one night, fell in love and disappointed that there's no second season. But, like, absolutely, Bill's an amazing writer. Amazing writer.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're working on season 2 at the moment.
Oh, fuck yes.
That's awesome.
Fuck yes.
You're
Yeah.
lucky. You're lucky because my favourite show just got
yeah,
cancelled
Vinyl
today.
doesn't get a second season.
I'm not happy about that.
Bummer.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about your Snapchat stalking because I see it all the time and it gets quite entertaining seeing it. How do you feel about having all these people follow you, Snapchat you, and then they don't go and say hi to you?
That's a funny thing, man. So if you listen to this and you don't know, I get people when I'm out in the street. So people do notice me and they say hi and they get photos, and that's really cool. But every now and then I'll get a photo sent to my Snapchat that someone has just taken of me. Like I'll be at like a cafe, I'll leave the cafe, and then 10 minutes later I'll check my phone and it's a photo of me sitting down. I'm like, what the fuck? Who took this? Nobody said hi. And it all started when I got one photo of a guy who took a photo of me, and I think it was just some dude who took a photo and he's like, I see you, or some weird shit like that. And then I was like, that's funny. And I put it online. And then I called it Spot Nebs. And then everybody saw that and was like, that's fucking great. Let's do that. And now pretty much every time I leave the house, when I get home, I check my phone and there's just photos. Here's you doing this. Here's you doing that. And they don't say hi, which is so weird to me.
It's like a mobile TMZ.
Yeah, and now I'll get people who are like, they'll say hi and they go, mate, I decided to stay hi instead of taking a photo of you. Like they see me and they're like, do I say hi or do I take a photo? Which one should I do?
Oh, Jesus.
Why not both?
Why not both?
Yeah, sometimes I get both. Like they send it to me and they're like, oh, I took a photo, but I just really wanted to say hi. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, do whatever you want, mate.
Just don't rate me.
Yeah, Jesus. Definitely don't want this sort of fans.
That's it. All right, so we're almost at the end. Last question for you. What is next for Lewis Spears?
Well, right now I'm working on, I'm just renovating my whole film space where I'm filming because Lou Review, I'm really in love with the project now. Like I've finished my tour. I don't have any stand-up shows booked. I'm just having a break from the stage and I'm just really want to get my videos as good as they can be because I want to hit 300,000 subscribers this time next year. So I'm just, I've put Lou Review on break for now while I buy a whole bunch of equipment. I'm getting a new microphone and I'm going to soundproof my room where I film and I'm going to change my backdrop. So I'm just kind of renovating and getting everything ready to visually look and also sound as good as it can be. And I'm getting a new intro animated as well. We've got like a 3D animated intro coming, which just looks fucking amazing.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. We've been working on it for about 8 months because it's just that good and that in depth. You guys, like, I can't even overstate how fucking sick it is.
Well, the way you put it there, definitely, I'm excited to see it.
That's it.
Well, yeah, you'll see, and then I'm just gonna, my aim is to just get as big as I can online, and then start writing the next show, and then do the next tour in April of next year with a brand new show. I'm trying to do one new show every single year that gets better than the last as I improve, and then hopefully late next year, I'm hoping to release a stand-up comedy special.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Definitely all the best of luck for that.
There's lots of people who just aren't in a position to see me. They live too far away. So I'm just trying to get that done for people and just like get the best hour of material from my 3 years of stand-up and from what will be my 3 years of stand-up and just put that out there and see if I can get it on Netflix, or if not, I'll just put it on my website and I'll do a digital download like Louis C.K. does.
Oh, awesome. Is there a desire to do another Melbourne comedy festival, or is that under wraps?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love the festival. Melbourne Comedy Festival is great. There's nothing like it. Like, there's lots of other comedy festivals in different states, but I don't like doing them because they don't... Like, the Melbourne Comedy Festival is a real cultural thing. People go to the festival. They're like, oh, the festival's on. Let's see comedy. Who's on? Oh, I like Lewis. I'll see him. Whereas the other festivals are more kind of money-making business things. Like, businesses own them rather than the city.
Yeah.
So I like doing Melbourne Comedy Festival because I used to go growing up, and I think it's a great thing here. But what I'm going to do next year is I'm going to do less shows. I'm going to do less shows in bigger theaters. Because last year and this year I did 12 shows in a row, which was awesome. I got so much better just with that amount of stage experience and stage time. But now I think I'm ready for the big theaters.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic to hear that. Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully this time around I won't be fucking sick and I'll be actually able to come along and say hi.
Well, yeah, there'll be a lot less chances, man. I think I'm only going to be doing a couple, but
we'll be there front and center.
Yeah, I'll be very excited to see you there, man.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Well, thank you very much for sitting down doing this interview.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes over the time, but we really appreciate your time.
Absolutely unacceptable, mate. 10 minutes. You guys owe me money. Well, that's cool. I had fun. Thanks for having me on here, boys. I appreciate it.
Very quickly, would you like to? Can you plug your social medias that the wonderful people can follow you on?
Oh yeah. Search me on YouTube. LEWIS Lewis Spears, like the weapon. I'm just Lewis Spears everywhere. Google me, you'll find a whole bunch of news articles about me being arrested and being a cyberbully. Don't believe them, they're all fake, but they're a good laugh.
Fantastic.
That's it. And one more little request. Can you give us a catch you later, cunts?
Absolutely. Catch you later, cunts.
Yes! Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Lewis. And this has been episode 11. Once again, DNT podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the same name.
Everything.
That's it. This we out on archive.org. Still working on trying to get onto iTunes, but we will get there.
We will be there soon.
That's it. I've been Jesse. I've been Gavin.
I'm in Jesse.
And we will see you on the flip side.